Over the past day or so, I've been lucky enough to play two of the new maps coming to Battlefield in Chapter 4, Al Sundan and Marita. Now this video is of course brought to you by EA GameChangers. EA flew me out all the way to LA to allow me to play some of these new maps and check out some new things coming to Battlefield in the future. Now these two maps are something I have been excited about for a long time because, as you know, Battlefield really does need maps, and people have been crying out to have some new content to get their teeth into and really experience a slightly different Battlefield to what we've had so far. Now this of course isn't Chapter 5, the Pacific Theatre. You're going to have to wait a little bit longer to get your hands on that, but it is some really good material to have fun with up until that point. Now in this video I'm going to take a look at both of the maps and give you a bit of an overview of what I think they'll be like. Now you can see from other people's live streams and videos that have been all over YouTube since around 12 hours ago that this is going to be quite a different experience depending on which map you're on. They both have slightly different characteristics and they both will cater to slightly different gameplay, but that being said, they do share a similar sort of environment, so you can be forgiven for thinking that they are the same thing. So we'll start off with Al Sundan, a map that has been converted from a single player map and will be brought to us on June the 27th as part of Chapter 4, Defying the Odds. You'll also get access to new weapons. Some new weapons have been included in the background of this video as well, although I would say that this is a work in progress with the weapons. I'm not sure which ones are going to be brought to us, which ones are going to be altered, but they are pretty fun, the ones that I've had the experience of using. So let's start out with a screenshot of the actual map itself. As you can see, it is based on that single player map with the airstrip on the west side and the Germans located slightly north, whilst the Brits are on the east side with the mountainous terrain right in front of their spawn. One thing I would say from this map straight away is that it's not as big as it seems. Yes, you can go anywhere within the boundaries that you can see on the map just there, but the central part with that river delta that spreads from inland out to sea is not going to be as useful to play, and the reason for this is a complete lack of cover. If you've played the single player, you'll know this, and that's why you'll notice the flags are all located on that north and east side for the most part, whilst you have Alpha over by the airstrip. Now the interesting thing about this map is that whilst it is absolutely huge, and I think it took some people a long time to get from one end to the other, something similar to what you'd see on Panzerstorm in some cases if you take the road on the exterior of the map, you are going to be in a position where a lot of the fighting will take place on those central three flags, Bravo, Charlie and Delta. Now interestingly, I would say that this is the sort of map where sniping is going to be really prevalent, and I would have said that before I started to play, but when we were playing that wasn't really the case, and lots of people were trying to get up close and personal on Charlie, Delta and Bravo. Now of course these playtests don't always replicate and reflect what you're going to see when the game comes out, so I can't really speak for what weapons people are going to be using. It's probably going to be the Boys AT rifle, as you often would suspect on a map like this, but for the most part it is pretty fun, and the different levels of terrain will promote that sort of longer range sniping gameplay, which some people do enjoy quite a lot. And the reason this is going to be such a successful map in comparison to Hamada and Panzerstorm, other large maps, is because it does offer that different rise in terrain and a bit of verticality. A major turning point for me with this map is going to be how DICE can look at the vehicles and really make them work, because sometimes we have seen with the larger maps, take Panzerstorm for example, when that first came out, DICE didn't really have the vehicle balance nailed on, and they did look at it a bit more, brought in some more tanks, and then people were starting to enjoy it more, because the larger maps tend to be for those people that enjoy vehicle gameplay. Now this one with Al Sundan, you've got a situation where infantry gameplay can be really popular, but you've also got wide open spaces for some really cool air combat, and then also tanking could be great too, with those long range distances between the flags if you were to go across the river section, or more tight and maybe more difficult and dangerous terrain for tanks along the mountain paths. As I said, if you've played the single player, you'll pretty much know how this is going to play out, because a little bit of work has been done to it, but you will be able to think that is the same map as the single player. Whilst it has been optimized for multiplayer, it's the same environment with the same sort of setting. So if you played in the vehicles on there, especially in the planes, because that's part of the map, you'll know that it's very interesting. There's lots of different areas that you can go into, and it's just going to be a good one, I think, for vehicle gameplay. Moving on to the second map, and in my opinion the best map of the two, and one that I really am looking forward to playing, and I know a lot of my friends will be as well, is Marita. Now this is a new map coming in July. We haven't got a specific date, but I can assume it would be towards the end of July, as that's where we usually see the updates. Again, you will be getting access to new weapons. Marita is an infantry focused map, and we're going to be taking a look at almost a follow-on from the Mercury map with the Battle of Greece. Here you will deploy on a sloping mountain ridge and within the tight streets of a rural town where Allied forces are making a last stand to halt the Axis army. One thing I would take from that is definitely the tight streets of a rural town, because that's exactly what it felt like, and that's something we haven't had so far in Battlefield 5. Maybe you could argue slightly with Arras in the town section by the church or the cathedral, and then all of that echo objective. That is quite interesting to play, but on Marita you've got far more of that, and when you're playing on a 64 player server on Conquest, it can be incredibly hectic, but at the same time there are so many different lanes and flanking routes alongside the verticality that you shouldn't find it much of an issue to get into these positions where you can be taking down lots and lots of enemy players and having a lot of fun. Intense gunfights on those streets with sneaky flanks is going to be what Marita is all about, and I'm really hoping that this is going to be a fan favourite, because from the short time that I played it, I loved every second. And whilst I was playing on a PC with really odd settings, and it wasn't like my PC at home, so you can never quite get comfortable, and obviously playing, I think it was 4K we were playing, things are a little bit different, so the gameplay in the background is not indicative of what I would hopefully be able to pull off when getting home on my own setup. That being said, it still looks really, really fun, and I was able to go on quite a few kill streaks. I know the broken machine next to me was absolutely slaying playing on this map, so I really do think it's going to be a fan favourite, because just the fact it's going to be so damn hectic, but also at the same time you are able to control what happens. When you look at maps like Operation Locker and maybe Metro from back in the day, the reason a lot of people like these maps, and even Fort de Vaux in Battlefield 1, is that they can just throw grenades and grab kills, and that's what people, especially the new players coming to the game, really enjoy, because they're out of their depth on other maps. So these meat grinder maps do allow them to get free kills, or almost free kills. But on this map, Marita, you almost get the best of both worlds. Yes, you do get that infantry focused cluster, but you're also getting access to some more tactical gameplay where you can choose which route you want to take and then punish enemies that really don't know the map layout or haven't decided to control this area that they're fighting in, or indeed watch their flanks. So let's take a quick look at the actual map. Marita is a map that, again, I'm really excited for because of this shape and linear sort of style you can see in the background. Now, I would say that one thing these playtests fail to do is test all of the exploits that you'll get on a map, and often you'll find when you open this up to the public, people will find out exactly how you can play this the most effectively. And in the playtests, whilst there are a lot of good players, and we do tend to find out whether it's incredibly imbalanced or not, and trust me, this map wasn't, it played out really well both times from what I can remember. You can't always be certain, but what I can say is a map like this is certainly less prone to problems than one such as Panzerstorm, a large open map. This is a map that I think will be super popular. One of the main things to take away from this and looking at this map is that there is a lot of verticality involved. As you can tell, it's almost on the side of a mountain and it curves round to the side, and that really shows the sort of elevations we're working with, as you can't actually get up between Alpha and F. That is a vertical mountain ridge and you can't get over it. Charlie, Delta and Echo are definitely my favourite spots. Echo is more of a town area, whilst Charlie is more terrain, and Delta again is just off the side of a little mountain. If you're looking for something to compare it to in Battlefield, I suppose you could say maybe Fiel without the snow, although this is more of a linear map as opposed to a circular one. Linear maps, in my opinion, are much more entertaining in Battlefield 5. I think this one will definitely be a fan favourite, as it can almost be compared to an outdoor Operation Locker, albeit with a bit more verticality and a different sort of environment. It's a very good infantry focused map, and the fact it doesn't have any vehicles on, or at least for the most part no tanks, no planes, you've got a couple of the infantry vehicles, it does change things up, and it gives the map a completely different flavour to what we're used to in Battlefield 5 so far. I'm interested to know which map you're looking forward to the most. I'm sorry if the gameplay in the background hasn't been the best, but I tried to show off the maps as best I could with the very limited time I had. None of the weapons had specializations, and the servers reset, meaning that everything wasn't carried over, and I was hoping to level up the new weapon to let you know what it was all about, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do that. That being said, the experience was fantastic. Being able to play these new maps slightly early and bring you my impressions is exactly what these events are all about, and I'm really hoping that you guys are looking forward to it. Some people who came to EA Play, the fans and anyone else who was just a fan of the game or the creators, could play Marita outside on some of the PCs, so maybe you were lucky enough to be here and actually played it yourself. I'm interested to see what you think of it, because the impressions were very good from what I was hearing from outside the creators' cave. So thanks for watching. If you did enjoy it, let me know in the comments, let me know your opinions of the game, and I'll catch you in the next video.